and I'm a skeptic of established opinion and established theory, and try to offer a local-centric alternative. And sometimes I can do that. We argue that you should love your neighbor, and by local, you should be loco-centric, nougat-centric. They call me the blogger with the biggest pen, and that is because I'm a writer and somehow ended up in the radio business. And my pen is not just my keyboard, but it is also a radio tower on Signal Mountain that reaches many, many miles out in concentric circles. We have also here a digital station, a digital channel that's 95.3 HD4. That's high definition digital radio. The fidelity is so great that if you graphed out all the parts of the sound coming at your ears there, you could have a separate line, a separate squiggle showing the host's Adam's apple bobbing up and down. It's that fine and that precise. Too bad we're not playing the current musical favorites, because we have only conversation and the best talk in Chattanooga. And that is what we do here at Nooga Radio. We have Sean Hannity at 3. And in the morning, if you're getting up and heading out to the office or to the job site, we have 3 hours of lively, twaddle-free, jib-jab-free news from Russ and Val Show. Always updating, always current. And we have terrific shows all day, and on the weekend special shows. We have a gun show, and you name it. We have Alex Jones and a lot of sports. I don't know anything about sports. I don't even know what sports we have, but it's full here, a full house of live local sports with Sam Jordan here at 92.7 FM. You report and the world decides. We're also the platform for a noted broadcast journalist new in Chattanooga, Marie Mott, every day at 11. And she has today a remarkable account of an arrest by a police department officers of a man, very tired man, sober as could be, just exhausted, and he fell asleep at an intersection and was denied a breathalyzer test. He was insisting he was not inebriated, just exhausted, but he was not given the courtesy of that, but was arrested, booked, and bonded in a mechanical fashion. So that is only here at Nooga Radio with Marie Mott every day. Tomorrow at 11, and we're at 800-8949, 800-894-9. Adrienne Kuhn, as she likes to be called. Her name is really French, but we'll use the American pronunciation. Adrienne Kuhn runs a thrift store and boutique here in Chattanooga. It's called Déjà Nu. It is one, or déjà nu, I guess you would say if you're speaking English or speaking American. It is a thrift shop on Highway 58 that benefits the Humane Educational Society, and we're going to hear about that from Adrienne. So, Adrienne, you are a former manager at Convergys, the call center. You were there for a decade, and now you're in the nonprofit sector running a store. So, tell my listener a little bit about, I guess, first of all, maybe from his perspective or her perspective, why shop there? It is a store that has goods for sale. What do you have in your Déjà Nu thrift store that would be of interest to him? And then let's hear a little bit about your larger purposes.
Yeah, we have a variety of items: houseware, glassware, kitchenware. We carry furniture, which is a big portion of our proceeds that go to the Humane Society. We carry clothing and pretty much anything that would go into your home.
And now, where is your store?
The store is on Highway 58, right next to Taco Bell. It's across the road from Baskin Robbins.
And right next also Affordable Computers, where you can get your computer repaired, and where we have recommended affordable computers. So now, déjà nu is a French word. You have a name which is originally French, and déjà nu means already. What does it mean? I understand to mean already. Nu is naked. So is that like a shave? You shave your dog in the summer? Is that what that's about?
Well, the director came up with the name, so I'm not exactly sure of the purpose behind that, but I can interpret it as something like these animals don't have a home currently, and they're looking for one, and we provide them in the interim before they're adopted.
Well, we're talking here about Bob Citrello, who's the director of Humane Educational Society. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Now, is this a nonprofit organization or is this a quasi-governmental entity?
Nope, it's totally nonprofit.
And what does it do?
They take in stray animals, whether it be dogs, cats. We've taken in pigs, chickens, guinea pigs, rabbits, all kinds of animals.
And say more about. Are you in the middle of your fundraising season? Where do you get your budget from? How do people find out about the work of the society to support it?
Well, we rely a lot on donors at the Humane Educational Society monetarily. But at the thrift store, we rely on donations that come in from the public, whether that be, like I said, housewares, glassware, furniture, which is a big part of our proceeds. So the thrift store actually gives 100% of their proceeds to the Humane Educational Society.
And if my listener is looking for a pet for a son or daughter, how can he find out or she find out about what kind of animal is available today?
Well, two ways. They can either go on the website, which is heschat.org, or my recommendation is to actually go to the shelter and spend time with the animal. That way you get to know their personality and see if they fit with the family.
Okay, so online that's heschat.org, heschat.org.
Yes.
And where is the facility?
The facility's on North Highland Park Avenue.
Where is that?
It's right off Macaulay Avenue.
Well, anything else you want to mention, Adrienne Kuhn?
I don't think so. You can find us on the same website, heschat.org/thrift store. We're always looking for volunteers at the store to help us out with either, receiving donations, stocking shelves, general cleaning items. And we're really looking forward to the donors that we're going to get, or the donations that we're going to get.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us here on the David Toulis Show.
All right. Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
This is David Toulis. We're glad to hear about the Humane Educational Society and Déjà Nu store, which is on Highway 58. It's just across from, I forgot now, but it's right next to Affordable Computers and not on the right as you're going away from Highway 153. The time for lunch is tomorrow. The time for dinner. If you're making dinner plans, make sure that you consider the Olive Branch Mediterranean Deli. The menu for Monday is sauteed chicken livers and gurvolarka porcupine meatballs, as Nick and Kelly are telling me, and also stickless chicken souvlaki and Greek lemon chicken. That's the Monday menu at Olive Branch Mediterranean Deli. Make sure you go by there. Nick and Kelly would love to wait on you. And Faye Bosch is there. She is Kelly's sister, making lively chatter from behind the counter and also doing the cooking. So that's, again, Olive Branch Mediterranean Deli. Make sure you go by there. Try that out. It's here in East Ridge. Sauteed chicken livers, gurvolarka porcupine meatballs, and stickless chicken souvlaki and Greek lemon chicken are the items today. Now, there's a story I want to mention to you in the Time Free Press today, which it bothered me a little bit. I think it's on the top of Region page for what it didn't have in it about immunization and the state. Now, if you are a public school mom or dad, you are required, or so we're told in the newspaper, to have your child immunized. And yet there is a growing, I would say a consensus. There's a growing consensus, if you want to, that's a media type word, and you'll have to forgive me for using it. But there is let's say there's a strong resistance to the vaccine mentality, which is exhibited in that story, which shows just one side, right? That story shows just the side of vaccine and the need that for you, my listener, to submit to your duty, right? Your duty is to have your child go through these innumerable shots of vaccines, some of which I would say are very dangerous, partly because they have thimerosal or a mercury as a preservative. And escaping mercury content in shots, I'd say, is very difficult. And I don't know that I would trust any school nurse or any corporation that is providing these services through a school or even elsewhere, I think that you should be extraordinarily cautious. And we know that there are many neurologically damaging, nerve damaging products and services and goods today. We are having a remarkable increase in the number of autism cases. Autism is not caused by unknown reasons, right? There are reasons for autism to be prevalent, and that is because we are following the public health paradigm, the public health model of dealing with children, and vaccination is a mass system. It is a mass system, just as education or public schooling is a mass system. So what I want to offer today is a kind of rebuttal to the Times Free Press story is the alternative, and that is that you don't have to have vaccines to be in public school, right? The headline is to the effect that you must have vaccines to be in public school, but the truth is that you don't. And we'll hear more about that a little bit later on from an official with the school system, the county school system. What parents are told, but and if you ask him, you will hear the truth, though you're not going to get that alternative bit of oxygen from the story in the newspaper today. Tim Hensley says that there are 4 ways of getting around the rule. One is a temporary certificate that indicates that you've started taking vaccinations, or you started taking the shots, but you're not done yet. There's also an exemption for one who has a doctor's letter stating that a vaccination would be damaging to that person's health. And now I've only got 3 here. And the third one, he did mention, well, the fourth one is that you have to take it, right? So you're compliant. So there are 4 statuses. The third one is the religious exemption. Now, I want to tell you that how to get that. How do you get a religious objection or exemption? An exemption is different from an immunity. And legally speaking, here's what I'm getting at. If you are immune from taxes, that is to say that you have an absolute right to do something without any claim of a tax being made against you, right? You're not doing something that's liable for taxation. There's no duty that comes upon you because you're involved in a certain activity, right? A certain profitable activity, a certain line of business. So you are tax immune. Now, there's a second category of people who don't pay the particular tax we're referring to here, just in the abstract, right? And that would be people who are tax exempt. If you're tax exempt, you have less of a protection than if you have tax immunity. If you have tax exemption, you are subject to the tax and liable for performance. But because you've done something, you've made certain arrangements, or you've obtained a certain status or have a certain connection, you are exempt. You've done something, and the tax it does bind you. You are liable for it. You are subject to the law that created that tax and the taxable people. But because of what you've done, you are exempt. So in other words, an exemption is good to have, no doubt, if you're the target of a tax authority, but it's better to be tax immune. So what we have in the statute in Tennessee is an exemption. So let's just recognize that the law written by the General Assembly, the people's representatives, does not recognize an immunity from the alleged obligation to be vaccinated. Okay, and here is the exemption. It's in Title 49, 5001, the general provisions, and this pertains to. This is the educational part of the law, and it's Part 50 in Chapter 6, elementary and secondary education. Title 49 is the education title, and 50 is about immunization of school children. So what is the language that makes you able to say, well, I'm not going to get these shots, okay? I'm going to take advantage of the public school sector, the freebie, right? The socialism that our county provides, under state sanction and under the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, but I'm not going to be involving myself in potentially damaging my children. And the provision, it's actually one long sentence that I printed it out when I printed it out, I cut and paste the statute and put it in a Google Doc, and then I highlighted the key provisions in bold and large letters, and it prints out at about 10 lines. It says, in the absence of an epidemic or immediate threat of an epidemic, this section shall not apply to any child whose parent or guardian files with school authorities a signed written statement. Okay, so you have what you can gain an exemption if you have a signed or written statement that the immunization and other preventive measures conflict with the parents or guardian's religious tenets and practices. So you have you can claim to be exempt from this rule if you have a statement that makes a claim in the area of religious belief. Okay, if you have a religious belief that having a vaccine conflicts with what God is telling you to do. Okay, so it can't be personal, it can't be philosophical, it can't have any other framework than religious. Okay, so that's a specific kind of defense that you have to have. In other words, you can't just say you don't like it. You can't say that you believe in Heidegger's theories or whatever in philosophy, and you are an individual who has some kind of philosophical autonomy or what have you that gives you protection. That doesn't wash in the statute, and that's because religion is the last area that government respects belonging to the individual citizen or resident. Right, you are a human being, and you have these God-given rights. And the state of Tennessee and the federal state, all of them combined, have eliminated most all of your constitutional protections, but the rights of religion are still there. Okay, these people haven't gotten that far yet, and I don't know that they can ever overcome the free exercise of religion. So the question now, I guess, would be, well, what are the religious arguments that you can make? There are, and you want to ask me about this. Well, I can give you some suggestions here on the David Tullis Show, and because there are reasons and warrant for someone who is a practicing Christian to see in the Word the rationale to not be vaccinated, and all you really have, God doesn't say anywhere in the Bible don't take a vaccination. It's not that. Obviously, it's not that direct. There were not vaccinations in that time, though there was what's called physic. Physic is the use of doctors. I think Saint Luke was a physician, right? So he was someone who knew about physic. Physic is the word that the Westminster divines used in their discussion about the Sixth Commandment. So again, just what does the statute say? You have, if you're just joining us here on the David Tullis Show, where you report and the world decides on 92.7, you do not have to comply with the edict of the school machinery, the school law, if you will, if you have a signed and written statement that the immunization and other preventive measures conflict with the parents or guardians' religious tenets and practices. So a tenet, of course, is a belief, and a practice, religious practice, is something that you do on account of your Christian belief or your other belief. Now, it doesn't have to be Christian, obviously, right? You could be a Hindu or a Muslim. You could have a religious belief under a man-made system, such as Esalen or Ekankar, which are very fruity types of man-made contrivances that are religious in nature. They're not merely philosophical systems. So there are a very large number of religious systems of belief, which are clearly religious and not just philosophical. And if you have a defense in that system, you can claim the exemption. But it has to be, as I say, again, religious. And then you say, well, what does religious mean? Yeah, you can call me, 800-8949, 800-8949, here on the David Tullis Show, 800-8949. So what I've done in the past is use a statement that is very short, and it has enough religious content, if you will, to make it clear that my son, whether he's going into UTC or attending some government-sponsored or government-subsidized system of or school or class that this person is not participating, right? Being a non-compliant, non-participating individual. And we'll hear in just a minute. I'll tell you what's in that statement. It has enough, like I said, it has enough religious content to pass muster from the official who wants to have just enough to say, okay, well, this person can come on through and take part of this government school program without having been shot, right? And that's what immunizations are, getting shot up with sometimes potentially dangerous chemicals and ingredients. David, you're listening to radio 800-8949.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
2 men fell off the edge of a Suck Creek Mountain Trail. One of them later died at the hospital, according to the Marion County Sheriff. Rescuers recovered the 2 men Saturday afternoon, both victims reportedly in their 20s. Grundy County